Coming to you from the Yard Dawgs podcast studio. A show for the fans, by the fans. Talking all things Cleveland Browns. From our mic to your ears. With your hosts, Jason Hand, Mikey P, and Ian Cold Train Coldiron.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Yes, you are now in the yard, and welcome to the Yard Dawgs podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. This is Season 3, Episode 102. I am your host, Jason Hand. The Yard Dawgs podcast is brought to you by Network 216. To check out all of our Ohio sports content, subscribe to our Network 216 YouTube channel. And now, joining me to help celebrate Victory Tuesday, that awesome win last night at First Energy Stadium, Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals, my co-hosts, my partners in crime, Mikey P and Ian Cold Train Cold Iron. What's going on, gentlemen?
It's a
Feeling
Victory
good,
Tuesday.
man.
It's a Victory
Beautiful,
Tuesday.
isn't it?
We've
It
had a
is.
victory, Tuesday and a Victory Friday this year now?
Both primetime games.
Yes. And a Victory Monday.
If-
We've had a
if we-
Victory Monday,
man.
right?
If we could just play in prime time all year round, that'd be obviously the Browns' equation to. I mean, and I will say this: Stefanski does really well in prime time. I don't know what it is about him, but he loves. It's almost like the players they gel, man. So it's been an eventful evening for us all, man.
That was one of my – I had many thoughts after last night's game, but one of my thoughts was like, the NFL schedule makers, I think they're going to invite us back next year for prime time. Especially
I hope so.
like last night against the Cincinnati Bengals on Halloween night, Monday Night Football. We both have orange colors. Like, it was a Halloween atmosphere to begin with. It was just what a great game, a great matchup for Monday Night Football. No doubt about it.
It
I
was.
agree.
And I just realized that next year it's going to be disappointing because you've had Halloween games the last two seasons because it fell Sunday last year and then Monday this year, but it falls on a Tuesday next year. So not the same. Not the same.
No.
No. Well, we're going to talk about that game. We're also going to talk about the AFC North, and we're going to get into some predictions. Although we're on a bye this week, we have some AFC North predictions at the end of the episode. But first, let's talk about Homage. The Yard Dawgs podcast and Network 216 are proud partners with Homage, the apparel company. If you haven't tried Homage yet, you are definitely missing out. Homage is always coming out with on-point, cutting-edge apparel. This just came out, the Homage starter jacket. I'm about to order like 4 of them. One for me and the missus and the 2 kids. Definitely about to do that dang it, I might have just given away the Christmas that's a Christmas gift. Maybe they won't watch it, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's nostalgic satin jackets that bring you back to the 80s and the 90s. Absolute fire. Cold Train, you wore one the last time I saw you at Top Dog Tailgate before the game a couple weeks ago. The jacket's absolute fire. It comes in orange, white, and brown. Showing support for your team does not have to cost an arm and a leg. As a bonus, you will get special discounts for using our link to shop at Homage. Support the show and do it in style by shopping for all of your favorite sports team gear at Homage. Find the link on our website, www.network216ohio.com, or you can find the Homage link on our Twitter page at Yard Dawgs Pod. Shop Homage today. So, I see we got some Homage sporting here tonight. Guys, they're always coming out some cool stuff. They got a Cavs shirt that they just came out with. They had the Guardians playoff shirt. Like, they got some stuff rolling out. They might have a new shirt. We had some Eddie from the network. He was promoting the I See You 55. I almost got you. What did Jacoby Brissett say last night?
I see you 55. He's almost got you 55. Exactly what you
Yeah.
said. Yeah. Yep.
So Eddie thinks that Ahmed should come out with a shirt for that moment.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
actually wearing my homage, attentive to the material in the show. Obviously, guys get the NFL Jam, the Chubb, and Garrett. I thought it was fitting to wear it tonight. On what better day than the two studs studded out last night and got to rep it with homage. And I love the connection. That's what homage comes up with. Great ideas, man. So brings you that vintage feel. But you got Garrett and Chubb represented after a great game last night.
Yeah, they had an
doubt.
awesome special yesterday. It was at 20% off site wide yesterday.
Yes. And we have some comments rolling in. Jeff, welcome back. I haven't seen you in the comments for a couple weeks now. He's on our YouTube channel on Network 216. He types in Victory Tuesday. And do I have that homage orange starter jacket? Yes, indeed I do. He has one. So there's him, and Brian also is tuning in, still barking in downtown Cleveland. What an awesome night. I'm sure downtown Cleveland was absolutely insane last night after the game. Coltrane, you were there. What was going on in downtown Cleveland last night?
Oh, man, it was just a beautiful night, dude. It started off, I saw a lot of Cincy fans walking in, and I even told my wife, I was like, what's with all these Bengals fans, man? They're doing the Who Dey chants, and just bad vibes in the beginning, man. I was just like, dude, this doesn't feel good. It felt real, felt odd. And then we get there, and then obviously I told you guys they do this big thing now. Oh, by the way, at the door, handing out these. This is pretty cool, y'all. This is the Stranger Things theme. I told you they give these out to every. Yeah, I know, Jason. And I'm thinking, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I grab two more for you fellas? I got to start getting these for you.
One for me, one for you.
Yeah, three. And if they ask me any questions, I say, hey, I run a podcast. I got to get these guys and do these guys. But anyways, this is Stranger Things. You got Cooper, Garrett, JOK, and Chubb on it. And then obviously the horror characters from the Halloween night. But like I said, guys, once they came out, you felt that energy. They come out with that dog, that dog door with the chain on it, that they come out the cage, and then they release them, and everything gets released, and these guys are, you had a feeling in the air. It was a feeling in the air. I think right about, I'd say probably, I wouldn't say halftime. I would say, like I said, right about there was mixed reviews in the stands. Half of the fan base is fucking run the ball, Stefanski, come on. And you got the other half going, oh, this is great. We're doing good. But like, you could tell we were a 2-5 team. You could just tell by the way the fan base was reacting. But I would say right at about 25-0. That was when we started. Like, the fans were just starting to get into it. The start of the fourth quarter, guys. As I want to say this to the fans out there, because if you weren't at the game to experience it, I want to let you guys know, and this is like my insider info. The start of the fourth quarter, they had a guy do a violinist solo of Thunderstruck, and that was freaking awesome, dude. This dude's just jamming away. They gave us lights at the door so that you had this blinking wrist, like basically wristband, and it's just pumping with the music, and it's go.
We went to the wrong game, man.
Dude,
fireworks.
What the hell?
I was gonna say this to you guys, fireworks and everything. But here's the thing, fireworks and everything. My wife will tell you the same thing, dude. She said the same thing when we were walking out. Something about a night game in Cleveland, man. The energy was great. The fan base was on a ball. And I agree with you, Jason. Please, NFL, if you're listening to this video, bring us back for Halloween. I don't care if we play the Bengals. It doesn't have to be the Bengals again. I think that would fit any team.
No, let's play the Bengals.
But either way, regardless, I think that Halloween game should stick in Cleveland. I mean, you see everyone shows out in the costumes. I mean, it was just the energy in that city. And then, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about the game in itself, because I know we're going to talk about that later. But when we left, you could just see it on the fans' faces. You could see 4 weeks of failure, 4 weeks of disgust. Like, you felt good walking out. There was even one dude, and there's fans like this out here. There's fans still on Twitter talking about this stuff. I hear in my ear, I'm talking to Sarah, all positive. I hear this guy, next 3, we're done. This team is over with. I told Sarah, I whispered to her, I said, we got to get away from this guy. I'm on a positive vibe. I ain't doing this negative stuff. To me, that stuff kind of bothers me, guys. When you have fans of this fan base, they're already talking negative and they just won. It's like, enjoy it, my dude. Enjoy it for at least an hour, my man. You're walking out of the stadium. You paid for a ticket. You paid admission. You had a ball, and you're already looking ahead at Buffalo, Miami. And we can talk about that later on the show. But it was, besides those type of guys, the fans left with smiles on their faces. It was what we deserved. That every game, even the game you guys went to, I know you guys won't understand. We're sitting there like that meme with the stick. Come on, do something, Browns. This was the exact. I do apologize for you guys that you did not go to this game, because this was the one, because it was everything you guys wanted and you told me you wanted in the game in one. And like I said, for the city to come out, it was a packed house. The energy. I think I told you guys earlier this on pre-show, and I'll end with this. This was probably, I kid you guys not, this was probably one of my top 5 favorite Browns games to go to, just because. It's hard to explain, bro. I mean, like I said, it wasn't just the football. It was that violinist solo. It was like you felt Cleveland. It was like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame meets the Browns. They're doing this thunderstruck stuff. It's like the energy, dude, and just the music was hitting. The fans were just loving it. Everyone was just having a good time. But yeah, for real, we needed that. We deserve that as fans. I'll leave it at that, guys. Let it chime on to y'all. But the in-person view of that game, I don't know what y'all experienced at your homes and on your own couches, but that was well worth the price of admission, man. That was, finally Haslam gave us a product that I left that place going, I got my money's worth today. So.
The game that it reminded me of big time, and both times I was in my living room watching it through the television set. Now, I might get my games crossed. So was it week 17 or was it the wild card game against Pittsburgh when we just took them behind the woodshed?
That was the wild card game.
Yeah.
That was the wild card? No.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been.
Yeah, it was at Heinz Field.
Yeah, it was at Pittsburgh.
Right?
It was at Pittsburgh. Okay. That's the game. That's what it felt like to me. We don't beat teams like that. We just don't beat teams like that. I mean, we've talked about it on this show, but the last time that I felt like that was the wild card game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What did we score? 28
to nothing. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter.
At the end of the first quarter. Now, we didn't have that kind of score. It was pretty slow the first half, but at one point it was 25-0, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah.
So it did have that feel to me. As far as the players, I loved the costumes. Myles Garrett showing up in dress. Of the Stranger Things character. What's the character's name from Stranger Things?
Vecna.
Yes,
yeah.
That was awesome. They talked about Myles Garrett's home that. He decorated last year, but he decorated again this year. Kareem Hunt showed up as the Joker. DPJ was in costume. I mean,
he was the Power Ranger, the Black Power Ranger.
He was a Power Ranger. That's right. Just an awesome night altogether. I mean, the defense showed up. We'd been talking about the defense. It seems like the whole month of October. Last week against the Ravens, we saw a glimmer of our, the defense that we thought we would see. And then last night was just incredible. And we're going to talk about all that tonight, but it was just a special night, man. I mean, I went trick-or-treating, came home, turned on the television and just saw a fantastic game that I won't forget for a long time. And to your point, Coltrane, I agree with you. Mikey P, I think we went to the wrong game, bro.
We did, man.
Our trip was special. We saw game 3 and game 4 of the ALDS. That was cool. That was awesome, actually. But the Browns game itself was not very good. In fact, I'll say this, that it seemed like the Bengals did what we did against the Patriots. They were like a shell of themselves last night. That wasn't the Bengals team I or anybody thought that we would see last night, and that's kind of like how the Browns showed up against the Patriots, which was really not at all. So
no, it was. In fact, I watched it with Bob Wiley last night, former Browns offensive line coach. I shared the video with you guys. We had someone come out to our club and won the Halloween costume contest dressed as Bob Wiley, former offensive line coach for the Browns. Even did the thing, which was hilarious last night.
And the stomach came out too.
Stomach came out. Yeah, we had a blast. Like we had a small turnout Halloween night. It's a national televised game. Probably had 10, 15 people come last night, but we still had a good time. Ate some candy, watched the Browns trounce the Bengals, and it was fun. It's fun to have those games. Like you just don't get those enough. Where it's like
never, dude.
Fourth quarter, like you're sweating it. Like this is how we have PTSD as Browns fans. So like there was no lie. One of the guys in our club was like, after they scored to make it when we went up 32-6 and they scored, made it 32-13, he was like, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling so good now. I was like, with 5 minutes to go. That's the kind of shell shock some fans still have, and it's okay, guys. It's gonna be okay.
And as a fan, you should never feel that way, but it's absolutely true. You can never be comfortable, no matter what the score is, as a Browns fan. But I'll tell you, this Bengals game and the Steelers game in the playoffs wild card, that was the most comfortable I've ever been as a Browns fan. So just good stuff last night.
Yeah. Sure. We never get an opportunity as Browns fans to ever be mid-third quarter going, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good right now. We always are on the opposite, where it's mid-third quarter, they score a touchdown, the punter, gets the punt blocked or something. I mean, that's just what we're used to because there's so many years of it. So it is that PTSD. But I will say one thing, too, you guys didn't get to enjoy in person was Brian Music's Thriller, I
saw that.
Thriller dance.
I saw that.
It's on my Facebook. If you guys are my friends with my Facebook, that's something else you guys miss.
I saw
You have to come up next Halloween because Brian Music was on one. Next thing I know, I got him on my shoulder.
There he is.
This dude.
He is listening, man.
As a matter of fact, I was just thinking about that. That means now Brian was singing Jefferson Starship, We Built This City, and we lost.
Yes.
Brian dancing, and we win. So it means Brian has to now dance at every Browns home game.
That's true. That is
dancing
true.
Brian.
Yeah, he was sitting. Listen to this. He was sitting the 50-yard line. He won a contest. 50-yard line, second row. He was right behind. If you guys follow him on Twitter, it's Brian Music. His videos and photos are like basically a professional photographer could have taken him. What an experience for him. He deserves it. He's a Browns diehard like us. He's always in my text messages daily, ripping us and being positive when we try to be. But it was a good time. Shout out to Brian. There was also another guy that chimed in. It's gone now, but thank you for watching, my dude. He said Happy Victory Tuesday, whoever that was. But
the real Riggs,
the views, guys. Oh, real Riggs.
Riggs.
Appreciate the viewing, guys. We really appreciate. I think everyone's kind of on here today. We're excited. So this is a good thing. This is a lot better than the last 3 weeks, y'all. So we appreciate the views.
Good, man.
I want to also, while we're giving shout-outs, I want to give a shout-out to the BFO, Browns Fans Only, and especially Pete Barker, who traveled all the way from the UK to Cleveland. His first trip to Cleveland, diehard Browns fans. I don't know if you guys follow him on Facebook and Twitter, but first time to Cleveland. He was doing a Facebook Live for the when the dogs were, the smoke out of the mouth, like you're talking about, Ian, that we don't get to see on TV, but he was Facebook Living it, and I was watching that, right before the game started, so I appreciated him doing that. But shout out to Pete Barker, who traveled all this way and got to see a tremendous game, and so his trip was definitely filled with excitement, and he'll have some great memories to bring back to the other side of the pond. So shout out to Pete Barker, who's been on the show a couple times, him and Christy Acuti with the BFO. So shout out to them. If you haven't followed the BFO on Facebook, there's like 11 gazillion members on there. I think maybe
20,000. I think 20,000. I thought
wow.
Last time I checked. It's pretty up. Yeah, it's the place to be if you're on a Facebook group for sure.
It is, and they stream the games every week. My brother, who lives in Arizona, wasn't able to
the games every week.
Oh, well, am I not supposed to say that? I've heard. And go check them out, especially Sundays at 1:00. You will not be disappointed. Okay. All right, that's all I'm going to say. Let's get into some news and notes. Trade deadline is passed. Kareem Hunt still a Brown. This is surprising to me, guys, and I'm interested in your take here. So it was it was a done deal that Kareem Hunt was going to get traded out of Cleveland. Most were saying for a 4th-round pick. I didn't get a notification on my phone all day. I kept looking. I'm like, oh, man, is this really going to happen? I didn't see it. Came home, searched Twitter. He's still a Brown. So the Browns did not make the move. What are your thoughts? Ian, I'm going to start with you, man. Why didn't this deal happen? Why didn't they make a trade for Kareem Hunt?
I mean, for one, Ream's quote last night was, it sounded like a sad story, man. He said to one of the interviewers, he's like, I'm just going to probably, because like, what are you going to do tomorrow? Like, what are you thinking? He's like, I'll just probably go to my favorite restaurant and just, have a good meal. Like, this guy's like, it almost as a fan made me sad where I was like, Jesus, this guy's going to be like looking over the pier at Lake Erie. Like, my life's flashing, my life's flashing me away. I want to stay with Chubb. But at least from that quote, I kind of took it that he wanted to stay here. He kept saying whatever it is, but that's also what a lot of players will say, that they don't want to do, dip in one toe or the other. But yeah, man, I mean, to me, as a fan, if it was a 4th rounder, I didn't want them to trade him. I wanted like second. I guess this is kind of greedy of me, but like, I mean, I would have been willing to trade him, but for like a 2nd round and above, like try to get something back for that Watson stuff. If that was what you could do by trading a talent like Kareem, by all means do it. But I also figured that the language of the game last night would speak to what they would do today. And to me, it looks like we still have life. Nothing's done. I'm sorry to all you negative fans. Nothing's dead yet. We still have life in us. And I think Barry just made that last minute decision where they're like, what asset can you truly draft for this guy instead of just sticking with him, keep him on the team, get him flowing with Watson and Chubb for those last 6 games, see what these guys can do. But yeah, I mean, to me, it just obviously the compensation in return in Barry's mind and their thinking, in my opinion, wasn't worth getting rid of a talent like that on the offense. So that's what I'll say. That's my piece on it.
Yeah, Mikey P, I'm interested in your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, Matt, I understood why they were looking at trading him, but I also didn't want to see him go. Of course, I think he'll end up be gone next year, or you never know. I mean, he's 28, I think, next year, and running backs when they hit that age, like their value starts to go down, and that's how teams kind of look at it around the league. And also, he's got a decent sized roster bonus when he's on your roster every week. And I'm looking at with a running back sometimes, like a lot of people think you can just make a trade and plug this guy in and immediately they're just going to dominate or learn the offense. Like sometimes it may be a totally different offense than they've ever played in, and it takes them a couple weeks to get to gel and get ready for that. So, was somebody willing to give up a 3rd or a 4th round to come up and get him? Maybe what they were offering was like 6th or 7th rounder. And at that point, there's stats show that there's no difference between 6th rounders, 7th rounders, and undrafted free agents. They're about the same success rate. If you keep him on the roster all year long and he leaves next year in free agency, you're at least going to get a compensatory pick, which I think is going to be a 3rd rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard 5th. That would be great.
Was it 4th or 4th?
I thought it was lower. If it was a 3rd, I would have definitely been excited about that. But I don't know. Maybe we'll have to check on that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's as simple as, if let's say the Browns had lost last night. Do you think Kareem Hunt is still here? I mean, maybe because we won and we're still in it. I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 2-6 right now. They trade away Chase Claypool. Had the Browns been in a similar situation of 2-6, their season's basically over at that point. I mean, we're still treading on, our heads are barely above the water right now. I'm just wondering if we lost to the Bengals, would the Browns say screw it and trade away Kareem Hunt for a 4th or 5th round pick to the highest bidder? I don't know. I mean, we'll never know the answer to that, but I think that's an interesting thought.
I think it all comes down to, like I said, if somebody was truly offering that versus what you would get if he does sign with somebody in offseason, you get that compensatory pick. Because I know we get a third for Quezzy going to Minnesota. So I guess it just depends. I trust Barry. Barry may not always draft or have the same talent evaluation that when I look at players, but he's very good when it comes to like trades and value as far as that goes.
And to me, the value was all over the place. Like, Browns never get lucky like this. Like, to me, Steelers, won the lotto today. A second-round pick for the talent of Chase Claypool. I know Steelers fans were big on that dude, but stat-wise, he wasn't worth a second-round pick. So it's like I said, again, now if you could have gotten a second-round pick for Kareem, I would totally change my tune. But like Mikey's saying, I don't think the market, for whatever reason, we never seem to get lucky like that. I don't think the market was just like with Baker. It's almost they're just like, it's Cleveland. Don't pick up the phone. Don't even bother. Because if we were going to get some nice deal, we would have thought Barry was God, and even if he pulled a third rounder, I would have been happy with it. But it is what it is. As fans, I think we can all agree we're happy he's back on the roster. So at least we can move on from this, part of talking about it, I guess, and move on from the Hunt trade rumors. So.
Yeah, a couple of interesting trades. Bradley Chubb, he goes to what, Miami? Awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
they needed a
next
rusher. They needed a rusher bad. I mean, what was that all about? Anyways, they needed a rusher.
They could use one. I mean, it kind of gives them somebody that gets to pair up on the other side with was it Ogba? They still have Ogba on the other side. They never really replaced Cameron Wake, who was one of their dominant pass rushers from a few years ago. But I mean, Miami sees themselves. They're 5-3. They probably needed a premier pass rusher. I think he gives them that ability. Miami's going all in. They've traded all 3 first rounders.
And of course, by fans' luck of Cleveland, of course, we face them in 2 weeks. And probably if you guys know the Cleveland luck, I would probably say Bradley Chubb's first entry into that game would be the week he plays the Browns. He'll be fresh. He'll be ready to go, a little bit loose with the defense. So as soon as I saw that trade hit, Mikey, I was like, oh, woe is me, always. And then obviously the Ravens picked up Raekwon Smith.
Yep.
So, definitely some moves in the north, not for the Browns, that I little be tissed a little bit about. But
and then Hawkinson, he gets traded to the Vikings. Yeah, so in the same division. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
That's an Andrew Berry trade right there too, because Quezzy worked under Andrew Berry. Hawkinson's still on his rookie deal with 2 years left to control. That's a perfect Andrew Berry type value move that he likes to make. Like they love taking these first round guys that maybe haven't done as well in another system, and then they kind of try those reclamation projects. And I mean, Minnesota needed a tight end, and they got Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, so it gives them another weapon.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into this game that we saw last night. We already mentioned about the Halloween costumes was fantastic. I mean, Hunt as the Joker, Miles as the Stranger Things, DPJ was in costume, Newsom, John Johnson. It was just awesome. And then on the field was even better than that. But just a great atmosphere last night at First Energy Stadium. My question to you guys, all right, so I've heard it said across the media on Twitter that the Browns seem to have the Bengals number. Kevin Stefanski has not lost to the Bengals. Joe Burrow has not beaten the Browns since he was drafted by the Bengals. I haven't heard why, and maybe nobody knows why, but I'm interested on your guys' take. Like they say, for whatever reason, the Browns have the Bengals number, but I want to know why do we have their number? Right? Because maybe we can, transfer that to other teams. Mikey P, I'll start with you. Why are the Browns dominating the Bengals the way that they are? I mean, we had a great game last year. Was it DPJ, or is it 2 years ago with DPJ last second touchdown? But for whatever reason, man, Browns 4-0.
I don't know. Sometimes teams just have other teams' numbers. I remember when Brady was in New England, and still now, Miami owns New England in Miami. Every time they play them, they're you might as well pick Miami. They're going to win. There's just something about certain teams. They just get teams' numbers. Like it seems like the Ravens kind of have our number from here now. Like we can't get over the hump against them all the time. So I don't know, just something. It's a mental thing, and I think when we play Cincinnati, it's a pride thing. It's the Battle of Ohio. The defense seems like Myles Garrett always seems to have big games against Cincinnati. Joe Woods, I've criticized him as much as possible, but he seems to have Zach Taylor's number and Joe Burrow. And he had Joe Burrow in a blender last night. Like Joe Burrow is big on, he understands that his offensive line has struggles and they struggle in protection. What they took away last night is they kept changing their looks. They went real exotic at times, and gave him like 5-6 different types of looks. And it took away Burrow's ability to make quick reads. Like he didn't know where to go with the ball. Like and you could see it, like he wasn't, functioning as he normally does. He was flustered.
It seems like we're getting to him before the play could develop. Even if Jamar Chase was there, I think it would have been closer, but I still think the Browns would have pounded them, man. I really do. I mean, it was just our night last night, and we're pressuring Joe Burrow. The run was non-existent for the Bengals. Just everything that could go wrong was going wrong for the Cincinnati Bengals last night. But, hey, Kevin Stefanski, he's gotten a lot of criticism, but one of the things he's done right is, against the Cincinnati Bengals, Ian Coltrane, why do we have their number? Why do the Browns keep dominating the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, I just think for whatever reason, like Mikey's saying, for whatever reason, Stefanski just outcoaches their coach, for whatever reason, every time they match up, just something. I think there's also, I agree with you, Jason. We'll never really know, but there's a lot of ideas. I think one idea also could be AVP has connections with Cincinnati. That's where he came from. I think he knows kind of what they do. I think there's things in there, obviously there might have been different players and other people, but at the end of the day, you guys know, like, once you're a Brown, you're always a Brown. Bengal, you're always a Bengal. They're going to do a lot of the same stuff, traditionary stuff, even with coaching changes, stuff like that. So he's got to be familiar with some things to let us and help us out. But also, you named also Joe Woods. Joe Woods is, he sees your famine. He'll get his butt kicked to practice squad running backs, and Joe Flacco is like 52 years old, but yet every time he plays the Bengals, it's like he has the game plan to just completely dominate and annihilate Joe Burrow. So it's like, I guess I'll leave it at this. If Joe Woods is good at one thing, I guess I'm glad it's beating the Bengals, just because their fan base needed to be humbled. After that Super Bowl run, and I always try to tell these fans on Twitter, you guys got there, but this is a different year. And it's like, do your research. Like most of the time, those teams never return to the bowl. So it's like, you guys got to humble yourselves, understand this is a completely different season. So this shellacking, this goose egg, especially there in the three quarters at first, was much needed. But like I said, I guess to answer your question, Jason, it could be a number of different things. But I'll leave with this too. For whatever reason, their O-line, talking of Halloween, I'll make a Halloween gesture. They get spooked. Their O-line, whenever the Browns come to town, whether it's home or away, their O-line gets spooked as hell. They don't want anything to do with Clowney or Garrett. It's almost like they let them through. And yeah, man, even, it's just one of those games where I think this could go, and I hope it does. I hope this goes into like the Pittsburgh, where they kind of were our big brother for whatever, according to them. I hope we get up to like 10 or 12, like 12-0. That'd be sick, man. I'd love it as a Browns fan. So I hope for the best. I hope this continues to improve, and then we can work on teams that you mentioned, Jason, like the Ravens and stuff like that, and start to start kicking everyone's butt in the division. But hey, man, we got their number, and it shows every time we play them. So it's good to know that.
And I don't know if you guys remember, like it was very eerily similar to the game last year, where Cincinnati gets the ball first, they march down the field, moving the ball, and you're like, oh man, we're struggling to stop Burrow, and then Burrow throws a key interception, and that like changed the tide of the game. And it was eerily similar to last year's game.
Yeah, he didn't run it all the way back, but he did.
Almost.
His knee was down. I was like, oh my gosh! But yeah,
remember, guys, Ward didn't even play. I mean, you had Martin Emerson having the game of his life. I mean, that was, we had key injured. Teller and Joku and Ward were out, so pay dividends to those dudes too. Like whoever filled in for those dudes, that next man up mentality. It was something to see, man.
That kid's a baller.
I mean, we'll talk about the defense in a second, but getting to Joe Burrow, we were bragging on him last week. He threw for like almost 400 yards in one half. I think it was like 345 yards in the first half of the game last week. And we were talking about last week, like, man, we can't let him do that to us this week, because if he does, it's going to be a very long night for the Cleveland Browns. He threw for 232 yards, and he had a late touchdown to Higgins. I think it was like a 41-yard touchdown. So if you take that out, I mean, for most of the game, for 3.5 quarters, we held him to 170 yards, 180 yards, something like that. He threw an interception. He was sacked 5 times. I think, he, like I said earlier, he was a shell. The whole Cincinnati Bengals, they were definitely a shell of themselves. In the running game, man, Mixon had 8 carries. P. Ryan had a carry. Burrow had 1. They only ran the ball 10 times. Mixon was held to 27 yards. Their running game was just completely taken out of the picture. And then you look at our side of the football. Gosh, I mean, Chubb had 23 carries. Hunt had 11. 34, 38 times, 44 times if you count Brissett, that we rushed the football last night. We've heard the argument, some people are swearing by it. If Chubb has 20 plus carries, we're 3-0. I personally believe that, man, running Nick Chubb is a good thing for the Cleveland Browns. I think that, Chubb is just a dynamic running back. He's the best in the entire league. You have that asset, and I don't feel like we've been using him properly. And that's my personal opinion. And I think some people think the opposite of that. They think that we are using him enough, and I just didn't think that was the case. Well, last night he rushed for 23 times, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just a total dominant performance. And you look at his numbers, and, man, we still gave Kareem Hunt the ball 11 times. Mm-hmm. So, you look at those 2 running backs. I mean, we ran the ball 34 times, guys. What are your thoughts about is there a formula to – I guess it depends on what the game situation is. I know we had a big lead against the Bengals, so, of course, you're going to run the ball and, move the chains and take it away from, you don't want to give them more opportunities, but it just seems like that's our success formula, is running the football, especially before Deshaun Watson comes back in 3 weeks. Coltrane?
Yeah, I think it was clear Stefanski's game plan was he heard. I'm just joking about this. I know he's not on Twitter, but I would say he reads our negative tweets and all of our complaints about running Chubb, and it was clear of his game plan. You could tell at the couple of those plays, the direct snap for a TD by Chubb, the run in where it was like a wildcat formation. Stefanski definitely on the game plan and to the players all week was saying, this game is going to be run through Nick Chubb. This game is going to be won through Nick Chubb. There was designed plays for Chubb to. There was even a play I saw in person that was badass to watch. They had Chubb and Hunt as decoys, and they threw a pop pass to Peoples-Jones or Cooper, whatever it was. But clearly, they were literally using. We were talking about on the show last week. They never have had Hunt and Chubb. I even said out loud in the stands, like, "Oh, they got Chubb and Hunt on the field at the same time." That's the kind of stuff that we've been missing from Stefanski. And it's like, I don't know, maybe his wife told him, hey, one day they woke up, hey, Kevin, I got to tell you something. But I don't know I don't know what hit. I don't know what changed with Kevin. But this game was exactly the formula that we've all been wanting, which is you have a Pro Bowl running back on your roster. Use him. Do what Tennessee does. What does Tennessee do? You're going to be playing King Henry. And it should be the same thing in Cleveland, man. You're going to go up against Nick Chubb. He's going to hurdle you. Guys, I'll end with this. That hurdle in person, you can ask my wife. I was like this. Wow. I don't normally get like that in games, man, but that was fun to watch. Chubb is just he's a moving force, and even watching him in person. And like I said, finally Kevin understood. And I know we mentioned this in the notes already, Jason. I hope he continues this formula. Stop overthinking it. Continue what you guys did in this game and build off it. That's obviously the recipe to success for W's, guys. You just said it, 3-0 when Chubb rushes over 20.
20 times, the magic number. And you know what's weird last night? If you look at the offensive stats and you remember watching the flow of the game, they didn't target a tight end not once.
No, they did.
Didn't need to. They didn't need to. They didn't even need Harrison Bryant. Just block, baby.
No, the tight ends were blockers last night. It wasn't a, you didn't see, like usually, the tight ends are involved in the game plan a lot. And I've even seen it where they've run empty set with like 3 tight ends out there. I'm like, I think they found something that works. And, they had Jacoby in rhythm. And, he's like most quarterbacks. Like there are a few quarterbacks out there that are just that elite level where they don't need to get into a rhythm. Like they can just turn it on with that. He's the type of guy that when Kevin focuses on getting him in rhythm, giving him intermediate deep balls, design rollouts, it helps him get his confidence going, and then he gets the ball going. And then when he's confident, he's super talented. He's got the talent. He just has to get in the rhythm. And when we get him in the rhythm, we got Chubb running the ball. Like the offense it's hard to stop because you can't key on one guy. They just gotta keep that formula. And Kevin just has to remember, if Chubb is in the first half, and I see the Titans do this all the time, like they'll run Henry for 2, Henry for 3, Henry for 4. And like, early on there's a lot of 3 and outs, or they're punting, or drives might stall out. But in that second half, like those running backs, man, telling you when the depth is not there on the defensive line for most teams. Same thing on the offensive line. When you get into those third and fourth quarters, these guys wear down, and that's when you're going to earn your money running the ball.
It's just like Kevin Stefanski can't look at the game film from last night and go, well, I don't want to do that again. I'm definitely not going to run Chubb and Hunt that many times again. That just didn't. He's not going to. I mean, he's got to look at that and go, wow, okay. You look at the time of possession, man. The Browns had the ball for 36 minutes of a 60-minute game. Like a large part of that was because of Hunt and Chubb churning the yards and creating first downs, and the defense. How many 3 and outs did Cincinnati have? The defense was after them. Taki. Let's talk about that guy. That guy. Ian, you were there last night, dude. I don't know what you saw in real life, but on the TV, man, I saw a fired up player in Sione Taki. I mean, he was balling last night.
Yeah, this guy's constantly on my roast list weekly, guys. I'm not going to lie. I've been waiting. How long we had him? 3 seasons now? 2 to 3 seasons, I know. But I've been waiting for him to really gel with the team. And I guess I just found out this was his first time playing Mike. I guess, according to him, he's been wanting to play Mike, but Woods has had him play the Will. So, they keep joking, saying like, oh, this is the formula for the whole defense. But I will say this. I've been ripping him on this show. I've been ripping him to my friends. For one night only, Taki, you have my apologies. I've been ripping him to my wife. You played your butt off, dude. You single-handedly took over that game. You made a lot of things. If you didn't play like you did, we don't win that game. It's facts is facts. But definitely showing something and proving something to us to where maybe we do look at re-signing this guy in the future. Not necessarily to a huge multi-year deal, but maybe we keep him on for a year or two and just let him keep growing. I hope this wasn't just the only thing I'll say, I got to do pros and cons. I hope this wasn't just a mirage. I hope this guy consistently can do this at the Mike position and he'll get more play time there. And hopefully he can improve on it because, like I said, Taki, and like you said, Jason, Taki was on one and then some, dude. But yeah, seeing him live, he was getting fired up over there. Brian was right in front of him. Brian's got videos on his Twitter. He was getting pretty fired up on that sideline, man. People were really wanting to play with that guy.
Yeah, Deion Jones, I mean, that guy balled out last night. He was like, okay, that was a good pickup, a good signing the Browns did there in Deion Jones.
I didn't see that. Was he all over the field? I didn't get to see that in person.
I mean, I think he had like 5 tackles. He had a sack, a tackle for loss. He was in a couple key plays last night for the Browns defense. Deion Jones.
John Johnson was good last night. Like, someone made a good point. Like, he wore the green dot last night.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe putting that onus on him, has his focus where it needs to be, because I thought he played well. I thought the effort was there last night. What it seemed like? It wasn't that everybody was just dominant. Like, there was just one dominant performance. So then Miles had a pretty dominant game on his side, if you look at his Pro Football Focus score. But you know what it was? Everybody did their job. The defensive tackles keyed at the point of the attack. The defensive ends set the edge. The linebackers stayed in their lanes and their gaps, and they made the plays that they had to. And there wasn't any blown coverage. It was like the guys finally, they played as one. Like, they played as a unit and not as individuals. And sometimes it takes, you got to get slapped in the mouth sometimes, and things happen. And maybe you figure something out along the way, and then all of a sudden the light bulb comes on and it clicks. But we'll see. We have a lot of football left the rest of the year, but I liked what I saw, and I would love it. Like, I hate having to rip guys for effort or just being, blowing coverages or missed assignments and stuff like that. I think sometimes people get so focused on what everyone else's job is. If you just do your job, I'm telling you, that's why Kevin kept saying we have to do the little things better. When you do the little things, it makes the big things so much easier to do.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I saw Joe Mixon running to the right or the left, or Joe Burrow throwing it out, towards the sideline like a sideways pass. And we had a linebacker there just to blow them up. I mean, they weren't getting around that edge, man. I mean, I think you said it best, Mikey P. Everybody was just doing their job. There's no real holes in the defense. Yeah, the Bengals made a couple big plays, but the Bengals make big plays. But last night they didn't make a lot of them. And the Browns dominated on defense. They dominated on offense. And they really showed what this team can do, like what we're capable of on a weekend basis. We have a bye this week, so we're going into the bye with a win. The players are feeling good. The fans are feeling good. We have a lot of great game tape to go over, to get ready for the Miami Dolphins, we have like 3 huge games in a row. We're going to get into the Miami Dolphins next week. We got a guest next week coming to all the way from Australia, David Evans Smith. He's been on the show before, Mikey P. I think you're on the... Yeah, so you remember David Evans Smith all the way from Australia. He's going to help us get ready next week for the Miami Dolphins. But just a tremendous performance last week. Myles Garrett, just dominant. Emerson, Martin Emerson really stepped up. A.J. Green with the interception, Mikey, you pointed that out earlier. Just a great win. It's a great day to be a Browns fans. I got to tell you, I got that Victory Monday coffee mug out of even though it's not Monday, I got that coffee mug out of my cupboard this morning, and I had to blow a little bit of dust off, but I used that bad boy, And it was a great day at work. Just an all-around great day. Loved it. Great game. So awesome Browns victory to stay alive. Let's move on here. We are really getting close to out of time. Mikey P, tell us about Underdog Fantasy.
Underdog Fantasy. Well, just remember, with Underdog Fantasy, we are a proud partner with them. It's the easiest place to play fantasy football. If you're like most people and you love to play daily fantasy and also love to win cash, Underdog Fantasy is definitely for you. Just remember, Underdog is going to match your initial deposit up to $100 by using promo code 216. So if you deposit $50, that of course becomes $100 instantly. Don't forget to play an Underdog Fantasy using that promo code 216 and make some money today.
That's right. Make some money today in fantasy football. Good stuff. We're going to talk about this real quick, and then we're going to get into our predictions. we're going to talk about this more in depth next week in next week's episode, but we got like 10 minutes left, so I do want to touch on this. The AFC North standings right now. The Browns had a must-win they've had must-wins for the past 5 weeks in a row. It seems like last night was definitely a must-win. They do get the victory. They improve their record to 3-5. Let's go through the AFC North standings. So the Ravens are at the top of the AFC North with 5-3, Bengals 4-4, Browns 3-5, and the Steelers are in the basement at 2-6. Guys, we have a tough remaining schedule, at least for the next 3 games. Realistically, Coltrane, you asked this question in the show notes, so I want to ask you guys. Realistically, what do you think we need to do in the next 3 games? And this is Coltrane, I'm using your words. I hope that's okay. But in the next 3 games, what do you guys think we need to do to keep our season alive? I don't even want to say playoffs. I mean, I do want to say playoffs, but to keep our season alive, what do we need to do for the next 3 games? And let me just say, we're at Dolphins. So this is after the bye. At Dolphins, at Bills, and home against the Buccaneers. Coltrane, I'll start with you, man. What do we got to do next 3 games?
I know this is going to be, bothersome to the realist fans, and maybe this is more fantasy than fiction, but you have to go 2-1 in those games. You have to. In order to stay alive. I see the loss at the Bills. I hate the Bills Mafia. I hate the Bills. I don't even like Josh Allen, but I see the L there. Dolphins is a more winnable game than people, give them credit. If you look at all the Miami games, they won a lot of low scoring, or the ending score wasn't that high. They didn't put it this way. They didn't just pummel over anybody like we did last night. So, and if they did, it was a poopy team. But the Dolphins are there. It's a winnable game. I also think the Buccaneers are just on – they just lost Barrett. That's going to be a good matchup for us. I mean, look how much we took advantage of the Chase being out. Now with the Shaquille Barrett being out for the year for the Bucs, that's huge for their defense. One less guy to worry about. But Jacoby has to right the ship at 2-1 for me to really, really get excited. Now – if he goes 1-2, we'll see. Like I said, I don't want to talk playoffs, but just talking alive things. But I would love to give Watson the keys, ending these 3 games with 2-1, and that's what the Browns do, guys. It's not typically out of the fashion, just because if you guys know your history, they always win the games that they shouldn't be winning. They have no business winning. So 2-1 to me is realistic, I hope, and that's what I think needs to be done, man, for us to make a run.
Mikey P?
2-1 for sure, definitely. I would love to be able to go 3-0, but I think 2-1 has to happen. That puts you at 5-6 with Deshaun coming back. And then at that point, like we were talking pre-show, I think realistically, if you're trying to win the AFC North, you got to finish 11-6. I think 11-6 would get it done. 10-7 puts you in line for a potential wild card. Anything less than that, it's going to be risky, but it could happen. Now with seven playoff teams, a 9-8 team could sneak in there because a lot of these teams are going to cannibalize each other. But definitely 2-1 over these next 3. Buffalo is going to be a super tough game, so you got to beat Tampa and you got to beat Miami. And like I said, 11-6 if you're trying to win this division, 10-7 maybe for a wild card, but you just focus week to week, man, and just next game at a time mentality, and you just win. And what was it they said in Major League? What do we call that? 2 wins in a row. You call that a winning streak? You just put a streak together, and crazier things have happened. So you just keep playing.
Yeah, I think that Browns fans and myself included, we're all looking at that Texans game. Deshaun Watson's first game as a Cleveland Brown, and Coltrane, you actually, I'm going to borrow your phrase, hand the keys off to Deshaun Watson. We want to hand the keys off to, give him a good, a reasonable expectation. We can't say, okay, Deshaun, you have to win your last 6 games, or how many games is he going to play? 6?
6 games.
6 games. I don't want to hand the keys to him and say, all right, Deshaun, we need you to be 6-0 for us to even have a chance at the playoffs. It's looking like that might be the case. before the season started, I think all three of us agreed we have to be at 5-6 would be good, 6-5 would be great. Well, if we win the next three, what would that put us at? That would put us at 6-5 if we win the next three. So that would be great. 2-1 would put us in the good category. How do you get that done? You have to beat the Dolphins. You have to. You beat the Dolphins, anything can happen in that Bills game. Now, I know it's in Buffalo. I realize that. But the team that I saw last night proves that they can beat anybody in this league. Anybody. I mean, you can name a team in this league. The Browns can beat them if that team last night shows up. The question is, was that an anomaly or is that like something to come? Like, as our defense finally got it, you know, we saw a little bit of, you know, against Baltimore, the defense started showing up, and then certainly last night the defense showed up. But is that going to continue? We'll see. I mean, we're going to talk about this in depth next week, but I just want to touch on it. So I think we're all in agreement. 2-1 over the next 3 weeks to bring in Deshaun Watson. That would put us at 5-6. 5-6.
I'll tell you what we need is we just need to have Manny every week in his crock pot of mystery.
Yes.
Cooking up our next opponent. Like, we're just going to ride the crock pot of mystery until the wheels fall off there.
He should auction off that L. I think he would raise some money. I don't know. I mean, I think that was a pretty cool video. That's Manny Maxwell, right?
Yeah, Manny Maxwell.
Yeah.
I'm down with the Browns.
Down with
shout out Crockpot, man. That guy is pretty cool. I got to work a show with him last week on Down with the Browns. That dude is funny as hell, man. He had me laughing my buns off. So, yes, that dude is definitely welcome on the Yard Dogs at any time, dude.
Faux show.
Don't
Let's
forget the Crockpot. Don't forget the Crockpot.
Cold Train. We have a YouTube channel, Network 216. Tell us about it. We need some subscribers, man. We have a large audience from YouTube. I'm seeing the comments rolling in. You guys have seen them as well. But
Yes.
Tell us about our YouTube channel.
Well, if you want to support the show and you want to support the Yard Dogs, you appreciate us giving our time, every Tuesday night, you can subscribe to the Network 216 YouTube channel for free. We're working hard to bring Cleveland sports content. We have more shows joining the network. We are your one-stop shop for all your Ohio sports content.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to get into prediction time. We have about 3 minutes. Christopher, thank you. He says, great show, fellas. Awesome. Thank you. But audience, Christopher, Brian, are you still there? Jeff, I need your help. We need some punishments, guys. We need some punishments because we need to collect them because the end of the year will be here before we know it. We have a year-long bet. Browns weekly predictions, rest of the AFC North weekly predictions. The winner out of us three gets a Yard Dogs podcast trophy for the mantle. It will be passed around yearly. You're only going to be able to keep it for that year, and you got to pass it to the next guy. Unless you went 2 years in a row, then it stays in the same place. The last place finisher, and this is where I need your help, audience, in the comments section. I need some punishments. Type them in there. The last place finisher either does the one chip challenge, or I'm going to be pulling for this. We're going to take the top 5 punishments from the comments, the audience, and put them on the Wheel of Destiny. It's in my garage. We're going to spin the wheel. Whatever punishment that lands on, the last place loser has to do that punishment. And we already have one. The Spicy Death Nut Challenge. Jeff?
What is that?
The Spicy
What
Death.
is that?
Do you not know what that is? But
No.
Anything
What
that
is that?
Anything that has death in it just doesn't sound enticing. I don't know why.
Yeah, I feel like
quarter-inch
Jeff's trying
tattoo of Steelers logo on your butt. Wow.
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 I was
That's
cool
the
with
gift
just
that
wearing
keeps
a
on
jersey.
giving.
Ooh.
I was cool with just wearing a jersey on the show, but all right, that takes to a whole nother level.
Yeah. I don't know if we can do anything that's like permanent, long-lasting. That's a good thought, Christopher.
Yeah.
But
we
nothing...
got wives. We got wives in the show, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we have our manhood to think about. Like, I wouldn't want...
I don't even have
Anything.
I don't have a tattoo. I don't want that to be my first one.
Yeah. All right. We have about a minute. All right. Panthers at Bengals. Bengals are favored by 8. We need your predictions. Cold Train, I'll start with you. What's the score? Panthers at Bengals.
Yeah,
PJ Walker's he's on a what do you call it? A heater. PJ Walker.
Panthers are on a decline. Panthers are a dumpster fire. Bengals 24, Panthers 10. Joe Burrow doesn't stay down for too long. But looking at their schedule, the positive thing for Browns fans, very hard schedule after this game coming for the Bengals. But they get this dub, 24-10.
All right, Mikey P.
Bengals 37, Panthers 27.
Whoa, I scored.
All right.
Right.
And I have also the Bengals 31-13. I think they bounce back. They're embarrassed. We embarrassed them last night, man. But crazier things have happened. Panthers, I mean, hey, they almost beat the Falcons. They should have beat the Falcons.
Until Dwayne Rudd showed up.
Yes, Dwayne Rudd made his ugly appearance. Was that DJ Moore taking his helmet? Oh, gosh. Anyway, all right, so we're all picking the Bengals there. Ravens at Saints. The Ravens are favored by 2.5 points. I will start this one. I have the Ravens winning this, even though I don't want this to happen. I want the Saints to win. I think it's going to be close. I have the Ravens win this 24-23. That's what I have. Cold Train, you're next.
Oh, man. I will say, yeah, I'm going to go Ravens, man. Ravens 20, Saints 10.
Sounds like you put a lot of thought into this, Cold Train.
No, not at all. 'Cause I feel like Mikey's going to pull I don't
prepared.
I always want to know what Mikey's doing over there. I know he's plotting over there. So who you got, Mikey?
He's chasing points, Cold Train. For the audience, in case you're wondering, so Mikey, it's kind of close. Mikey P's at 12 points for the year. Cold Train's at 14. And yours truly, myself, I have 15 points. So it's close. But Mikey P, what's your prediction for Ravens at
Lamar
Saints?
Jackson and the Ravens are going down to the Bayou this weekend, and they're going to come back with a crock pot full of L's. I'm going Saints 34, Ravens 27.
Whoa.
I
have to. Okay, Saints 24-37.
34-27 Saints.
Yeah. Could be getting real close, closer than you think, Jason, next week, man, if we lose that dub.
Dude,
Mikey will be right on Mikey's either going to be going a finger length away or a finger length closer with this dub. So, well, good luck to you, my friend.
To be honest, I had the Ravens picked until, you both picked the Ravens.
I knew, exactly. That's why I know you do that. That's why I said, watch this guy, Jason. You never know what he's up to over there. He watches.
Christopher has a good punishment. He says, gotta watch next season Browns game in a Steelers backers bar.
Oh God. With your Browns gear on, that would be the worst because they're gonna just roast and toast you all day, all game. Dude.
That would be a bad one. Steelers Browns game. That's what you.
Yeah, we're worried about everyone's safety here, guys. We're not trying to we're trying to feed people to the wolves.
I don't have a death wish. No.
This is a positive show, guys. Keep it a positive.
But I'm gonna write that one down, Christopher. That's a good punishment. That's a legit one. The tattoo thing, I don't know about that one. But I am gonna write that punishment down as an entry. For us to vote on at the end of the year. Christopher also writes, not a Lamar fan, but you got to pay that man. You got to pay that man. All right, guys. Well, that about does it. We're going to wrap up this show. Again, next week we have David Evan Smith coming from the Down Under, all the way from Australia. This is interesting. It's going to be next Tuesday night, 7 p.m., same bat time, same bat channel. But in Australia, you know what day and time it is? It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Wow, okay.
So he is committing to come on this show.
Grab a cup of coffee and get on the show.
A little bit of eggs and eggs.
I'll be drinking beer and he'll be drinking. I don't know. I think Australians, if it's his day off, he might have a beer with me. David, he'll have a beer. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But join us next week, guys. As always, Cold Train, Mikey P. Love you guys. Yard Dogs podcast in the house. We'll see you next week, Tuesday night. Stick around, though, because the Barking Brown Show is coming up next Until next week, we like to end all of our shows with the Go Browns. So, Coltrane, Mikey P, if you'll join me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. See you next week.